What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see, when the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host BKP.
Daddy! Settle down, man.
Dear Georgia Legislature, no guards or bologna sandwiches were harmed in the making of this video of the Frosty Shit Show saga. Love, Georgia citizens.
Hey folks, how are you today? Okay, that's too high. I know that's a little too high. The volume. Okay. I'm your host, BKP, and you're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. Let me get all this up here today. That's a little high. We're going to bring the volume down a little bit. There we go. I think that's good. All right, folks, today, March 4th, 2026, BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com on Substack. Our Substack is Vora at BKP Politics. That's Vora at BKP Politics. And YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, at voiceofruralamerica.com. Now, so vote red. Now today, obviously, we're in qualifying week here in Georgia. It is qualifying week. All the candidates are going to the Capitol this week that are running for office, and they're going to their local courthouse that are running for the local county positions all over the state of Georgia. That ends Friday at noon. We will know who will be on the ballot in May for the primary and who will be on the ballot. May will determine who will be on the ballot in November. So, that's going on this week. We have crossover week. Crossover in our Georgia 2026 legislative session is Friday night at midnight. Vote red. Vote red. All right, so, my concern is that we have been told to vote red for so long that voters are starting to ask why. Why should I vote red? And let me get to this right here. By no means am I advocating voting for Democrats. I'm not doing that, okay? That's not on the show. I'm not advocating that. But I will always be on here every day saying, Republicans need to get a grip and actually be Republicans. We must restore the party. We must restore our Republican values, get our focus, get away from the political stunt. So I'm going to ask you a question. Now, yesterday, I'm going to start right into property tax, okay? I'm going to start right into property tax because I told you in November, December, I said, hey, you know what? This is going to be the 2026. I don't think you're prepared for the amount of political stunts that are about to take place. So we have right here crossover week. And Friday at midnight, day 28 of the 40-day Georgia legislative session at midnight, bills that are completed, voted on, and passed at the House move over to the Senate for consideration there. And they move from the Senate over to the House. So how many of you yesterday, and this way, I wanted to do this segment yesterday, and I didn't. I didn't get time. I got pretty tied up with some other things. But how many of you yesterday started seeing all over social media, remember Democrats voted no to cut your property tax? How many on social media? We're going to go through that. I'm going to give you just a couple. We're not attacking. We picked out some because, you know, people might say, well, wait a minute, you left this one out, you left it. We would do a 3-hour show of the lawmakers and the people yesterday that were posting and reposting. Remember this when you go vote, that Democrats voted no on ending your property tax. And I had most of this put together yesterday, and I said, well, let me wait because they'll vote on it, and then I'll be able to do a complete segment. All right, so here you go. Burns unveils plan to eliminate property taxes on Georgia homeowners. So John Burns goes out, the political stunts as usual, and he gets all the lawmakers behind him and the Speaker of the House of Georgia, and they put out this plan that requires a constitutional amendment to eliminate property tax. Okay. Sounds good. I mean, I for one would enjoy eliminating my property tax. But remember always, like I said before, because they want you to believe there's some kind of magic out there. They want you to believe that there's Jack in the Beanstalk and there's some magic beans somewhere. That's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that they have a plan that if your county, we'll use a round number. I know you got some major counties out there that are in the mega millions, but we'll use just 20 million, all right? But if you're in a county that, or we'll go with 40 million, that your cities, your county, and your Board of Education brings in $40 million, that they're going to put forth, all right? They're going to put forth a plan that they get their money, you don't pay property tax, and there's still $40 million at the end of the day. Now this I want to see, because I'm going to show you something that they don't want me to say. They didn't like me yesterday. I'm serious. You need to share this with everyone. Everyone needs to hear what I'm about to put on the screen today. So how does this work? Because it sounds good. Now, yesterday, they started with this right here. And this is not, like I said, we're not going with a tax, but, you know, the Freedom Caucus, right? This is the Freedom Caucus. Georgia House Democrats voted against eliminating property taxes. The measure required 2/3 vote to pass, therefore it failed. In 2026, this is the Democrat Party's position opposing tax relief for Georgia homeowners. Insanity. Now, that came out from the Georgia Freedom Caucus. Now, a constitutional amendment requires 2/3 vote, meaning they need like 21 Democrats to get it on the ballot for you to vote on. That's a resolution. A resolution gets backed up with a bill. So you pass a resolution and then you put a bill in place after the voters say, yes, that's what we want to do. Constitutional resolution. But the Democrats, they want to tell you obstructed from insanity, saying, hey, they don't want to eliminate property tax. All right? Then you have, we'll go with this one right here. This is David Clark. David Clark is running for, he is a House member, he's running for Lieutenant Governor of Georgia. Now, first of all, I'm going to get to this in a minute. I don't want anyone like David Clark being Lieutenant Governor of Georgia that puts out a statement like this on the segment I'm about to share with you, because if he would go down this road right now for a political stunt, what would he do as Lieutenant Governor? Remember this when you vote. Republicans had a real plan. Now, wait a minute. A real plan to end the Homestead Property Tax through a constitutional amendment. It needed a 2/3 vote to pass. Relief for homeowners, relief for seniors on fixed incomes. Now, those seniors on fixed incomes, they still shop and they still have a car and they still have, maybe the seniors now have a boat, right? Maybe seniors have gotten to the point where they have a side-by-side or a four-wheeler to go camping. Maybe they have a camper. Just saying, keep that in mind. Seniors still buy groceries. So it needs 2/3 relief for seniors and fixed income, relief for veterans, okay, who defend this country. Now, they sound like they're about to do the right thing in the House. They sound like they're about to do the right thing. Okay, Democrats blocked it. They refused to provide the votes needed. They voted against letting you keep your own money. They voted against protecting seniors from being taxed out of their homes. They voted against helping everyday Georgians crushed by rising property values. When it came time to choose between taxpayers and bigger government. I have to pause there because in the last 8 years, Brian Kemp, his budget, which David Clark has voted affirmative on, has gone up $10 billion. And they just passed a supplemental, budget to complete 2026 to July 1st of this year. And they went up another 12%. He wants to be lieutenant governor. When it came time to choose between taxpayers and bigger government, they chose bigger government. Don't forget it. Well, David, you are correct. I will not forget it. Because Republicans have had control of the state of Georgia since 2005. We've had control of the governor's mansion, the state house, and the state senate. But yet, bigger government, David, that would be Republicans in the state of Georgia right now. Just saying. All right. So this goes on and on. Now, Jim Tully, I wanted to throw this in a mix. He's running for 14th District Congress. God knows I don't want him in Congress. If today Georgia Democrats showed exactly where they stand, they voted against removing the property tax. They opposed school choice. Time after time, they stand against the very things that help Georgia families thrive. These people just put this out. This is a campaign stunt, which, you know what I don't like. All right, so I threw this one out here. Let's go with this one. We're going to get to it right here. Tim Ryan for Coweta County Commission. Looks like the chance to eliminate property tax won't hit the ballot for Georgians to decide. Here is the roll call for the State House. 99 to 73. You remember back in the good old days, was it 2014, when we had 120? Right? We were right there on a supermajority. All we needed was one Democrat. You remember the day when we needed one Democrat vote, but today we need 21 Democrat votes or something of that nature? Oh, they never talk about that, so let's throw that one out there. Now, this one I had to put out for the reason, I think this individual is going for Grifter of the Year award, and I'm serious. They're going to get mad. They're going to get real angry at me, and this is Holly Kessler. See, the Georgia House Republicans last week, House Democrats voted against income tax relief. Today, they obstructed the most significant property tax relief for homeowners ever proposed by the General Assembly. They are siding with tax collectors, not you. Call your state legislator today. But here, that's from the Georgia State House. And then Holly, I'm going to nominate for Grifter of the Year in Georgia. Kessler reposted it because she's on board with this. So I'm getting somewhere. So we'll throw one more out here. We'll go with Scott Hilton. Today we voted on a sensible measure approach toward eliminating your property tax while keeping our counties, cities, and schools fully funded. You see, we got magic beans. We got magic beans. Yeah. Just saying. Because I'm going to show you. I bring the receipts, as they say. I bring the documents. They're here. And I know what their slimy, little, grubby paws are about to do. And I know what they do. They put all hands on deck. I'm going to tell you some things. This is where they really don't like me. Today we voted on sensible. It keeps our counties, cities, and schools fully funded. There's magic beans here. Every day I hear from constituents who are shocked by the increase in their property tax, senior citizens, renters, and first-time homebuyers being denied the dream of home ownership. This is plain wrong. We are taxing you on unrealized gains and forcing you to rent your home. Blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, the measure failed as Democrats voted no. This fall, coming to you this fall, don't forget, both parties will campaign on making life affordable for you. The stark reality is that my friends across the aisle consistently vote for bigger government. There's that bigger government again. There it is, once again. Bigger government, right? So, once again, voting for bigger government. Huh. Wow. So, stark reality is that my friends across the aisle consistently vote for bigger government and higher taxes. I'm just wondering, I mean, have they looked at these budgets they keep voting on? Billions and billions of dollars? Now, this one gets me because I've asked questions of this young representative up there in northwest Georgia. This is Mitchell Horner, right? Mitchell Horner. Remember when you vote this vote, Democrats refuse to end property taxes. I wonder, like, if Speaker Burns put the memo out, it said, these are your talking points. Everybody get out immediately. Get out immediately because this has always been the plan. This has always been the plan. Remind everybody we wanted to cut property tax. Somewhere I'm finding a lie or two or three or four. Somewhere I'm finding that, okay? Republicans had a solid plan to end your homestead property tax. The Democrats voted against it as a required constitutional amendment. It failed. Just remember that, right? So let me throw this in the mix before we go to our next section here. Property tax measures under the Gold Dome ignore renters, advocates say. We're going to keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Ignore renters, advocates say. So let's stop there for just a minute. HB 1116. Here's what I want you to ask everybody. Ask Mallory Staples of Freedom Caucus. Ask everybody if they studied this. Ask your representative these couple questions. You ready? This is, pay attention. Right here's where I really want you to pay attention, okay? All these representatives, and I just gave you a sample. They're all out there because what they do is they're like, look, we're going to take it to the floor. We don't have the votes. We know we don't have the votes. All right? Now, Democrats are saying, why should we give you a constitutional amendment to go on the ballot to lead people to say in November that you're cutting their property tax, but don't vote for a Democrat? So there's a lot to unpack here. We'll get into the political side in a minute. But Burns and them, they know what they're doing. They want to come out, right? They want to come out and they want to say, hey, we tried to cut your property tax. Then they told every representative, you're not allowed to get out of line. You're not allowed. Hey, get all of our grifters in line. Get everybody in line. Put this out. This is our political stump speech. HB 1116, it's 47 pages. I want you to ask your representative in the House, forget the Senate right now. This hasn't gone to the Senate. I want you to ask your representative in the House if they read the 47 pages. Then the other thing I want you to ask. Now, the resolution for constitutional amendment is 7 pages. That is H.R. 1114. I want you to ask them if they read the entire thing. Be very firm. Did you read the entire thing? That's first. Second, I want you to ask them if they called or met with in their district that they represent. Ready? In your district, when you did you call or visit in any way your county commissioners? Now wait a minute. Your county commissioners, your city council or mayor, your board of education members, or the superintendent of schools. Did you do that? And then last, I want you to ask them, did you meet with lobbyists from the ACCG, right? That's the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia. Did you meet with their lobbyists? Because I know they were in John Burns' office. Did you meet with them? Did you meet with GMA, the Georgia Municipal Association lobbyists? Did you meet with them? All right. Did you meet with the State School Board Association, the Georgia State School Board Association lobbyists? Did you meet with them? I want you to ask all those questions. And when you get done, I want you to say, okay, now the big concern of the ACCG, the GMA, the Georgia State School Board Association lobbyist, your commissioners that burning your phone up, your Board of Education members, your superintendent of school, your city council, and your mayors. Their number one concern is you better not take any money from us. You better fully fund us, because everything I showed you in there, fully fund us. And you better figure out when we need more, we get more. All right? Now, the last question I want you to ask your representative, I want you to ask your representative if they held a town hall meeting last Saturday. Well, I was busy. It was spring break. I was with my children. I was here. I was there. I was busy. It was a birthday party. I went to an end. No. You had time for the lobbyists, if so. You had time for your commissioners, right? You had time for whatever came over from John Burns' office. You had time. You probably didn't read anything. You just went and voted because you were told to vote. You don't know what you were about to do to the people of Georgia, but it sounded good, and now you're going to go home and say, I voted to get rid of your taxes and Democrats didn't. You didn't meet with the people. You didn't talk to the people. So moving right along, don't forget, if you rent in Georgia, you might be screwed. Just a real quick note, because we're going to get to this here. A real quick note. I just pulled this off AI real quick. I don't know the accuracy, but the number of rental apartments in Georgia, 964 renter-occupied housing units, right? Total renter households. Recent profile indicate roughly 1.5 million, all right? And across the state, making up approximately 35%. Now, I don't know that this is accurate, but I just threw it in there because I wanted something to work with. Approximately 35% of Georgians rent where they live, okay? So you 35%, boom. Now, But wait a minute. What are they doing to the people that own property? Well, I'm about to show you. So don't forget, like I always say, I just want to show you here quickly. Don't forget. Right? Hold on, I have it here. 2005. Since 2005, Georgia Republicans have had the governor's mansion, state house. I think it's 2014. You can look. I think we had 120 in the House. Right at that supermajority where we could have done anything we wanted in 2014. But I think yesterday Republicans only had 99 votes on the board. 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles. I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that. Now, let's go through the great tax plan. Because when I say vote red, right? Vote red, right? Why? Why vote red? Now, don't forget, HB, I'm going to show you this. Everything we're talking about, I'm going to show you. HB 581. It seems like just 2 years ago, we were outraged over taxes, 2024, property taxes. It seems like 2 years ago, we wanted to cap the rate of property tax. We wanted to do that. Seems like that. It seems like 2 years ago, we passed a resolution, HB 581, for like 66% of the voters said. It's like 2 years ago, the House of Representatives in the state of Georgia allowed the lobbyists from the ACCG and the Georgia State School Board Association and the GMA, when they came in, they basically said, don't worry, we're going to put an opt-out. We're going to put an opt-out. Don't get all upset. That's why when you went to the poll and you voted for that resolution, there was no campaign sign saying vote no. There was no campaign. If the ACCG saw a problem with it, if the GMA saw a problem with HB 581, if the Georgia State School Board Association, there would have been a major campaign on your TV and everywhere saying, taxpayers, vote no on it. But they didn't. Silence. Shh, just be quiet. Just be quiet. We'll give you the opt-out. And then your commissioners, school board, they can opt out. Right? But now they want to fix it. They didn't do this 2 years ago. Must not have been an election for governor and lieutenant governor and speaker of the House Secretary of State. So it must not have been an election year. Well, it was, but not quite for these people. Now, so here's the tax plan. Can't make this up. So John Burns, tax plan. House Speaker John Burns proposes eliminating property tax. But the measure, a constitutional amendment, faces a steep uphill climb. Now, this was before the vote. Okay? So let me go over the before the vote. House Speaker John Burns Wednesday unveiled his plan to eliminate property tax on primary single residents. Burns' plan would phase out taxes on homestead properties by 2032. That would eliminate more than $5 billion in annual revenue for schools, local governments across the state, according to an analyst by the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia, ACCG, right? The lobbyist. So they're going to wipe out $5 billion? Not so fast. Because they got magic beans. What are they going to do? Well, I know exactly what they're going to do, and I know what they plan to do. See, here's the thing. I've sat in county commission meetings. I've heard county commissioners say what I'm about to say. Not quote. It's been a while, but I can pretty much get it close. I've heard county commissioners say what I'm about to say to you. I know the actual law. Got nothing else to do, right? So here you go. In place of property tax, Burns' plan would allow schools, counties, and cities to repurpose, now listen to this, repurpose existing sales tax or change assessments. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get the $5 billion. We're going to get it from you. Yes. We may even get more than $5 billion. But we're not going to have it on your property tax bill. But wait a minute. There's something here that gets me. Because the property tax is actually how you pay salaries, how you pay administrative cost. We'll get to that. So if you don't have property tax coming into the county, how would you pay the county employees? Are they trying to sneak one in? Oh, yes, they are. They're slimy, no good. They're no good. Oh, so we're going to change existing sales tax, and we're going to charge assessments. Now, at the same time that they want to bump up your sales tax, we'll just say from here, if you're paying 8, 7, whatever you're paying, let's go with 8. They throw another 5 or 6 on there, right? From this right here. And then they eliminate state income tax, and that throws another 6 on here. So 12. Could we be getting into the area of like 21%? Hey, why not? You're coughing it up at the gas pump. Go look at how much money you're coughing up every day at the gas pump for the state of Georgia for transportation. Oh, you can't make this SHI asterisk up. I got him. Here we go. Let's go. Ready? Continuing. They're going to assessments. Charges not based on value of homes to pay for services such as fire protection and classroom. Assessments. They're going to assess values. Now, moving right along, ACCG released a statement saying it is reviewing the language to assess the potential impact on counties. Burns said the existing method of funding local schools and governments primarily through ever-rising property tax is unsustainable. We'll get you money. Georgia House Republicans believe no one should ever face the loss of their home because they can't afford to pay for rent to the government, the speaker said Wednesday at a news conference. Burns proposes the largest gambit and election year bonanza of tax cut proposals. No one should ever lose their home. Well, being able to pay the electric bill, the propane bill, the cable bill, the phone bill, or even eat could be a struggle. But the home? Quickly here. The Senate also has its own version of property tax relief. SB 382 would require all governments and schools to cap property assessments at a rate of inflation. To move supporters say would limit the growth of the tax bill. The bill passed the Senate's Finance Committee last Wednesday. Now, let me get this. HB 581 was supposed to slow the rate of growth. Now, if your commissioners want to go raise your millage rate and go on the ballot and get reelected, tell them to go do it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not advocating to raise your taxes, but let them go raise your taxes. That's what they're upset about. Because what this does right here, it takes the argument away of the circle jerk down at your county courthouse called the Tax Assessor Board or the Tax Assessor's Office, the Tax Commissioner's Office, the collector, and the Commissioner's Office. Oh, you go to the Commissioner, say, you raised my taxes. No, I didn't. I kept the millage rate the same. You go to the tax collector. Hey, I just got my tax bill and you raised my tax. No, I didn't. I do it based on the millage that's sent to me by the commissioners that reflects the assessment on your property. You go to the assessor's office. Oh, no. That's the rate. That's the rate of assessment in your neighborhood. And we do that every 3 years. We do a third of the book of assessments every 3 years. Now, I want you to keep this in mind. Keep the word assessment. So you want me to believe, because listen to me. I'm asking you nicely to pay attention. You want me to believe that the property tax assessment office that comes out and looks at your property and said you painted your porch, that's another $30,000, right? You want me to believe that those assessment offices will go away and dwindle. You want me to believe that, well, they'll still have the commercial and the rental property to assess. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I will get into that momentarily. Now, let's go to the next one. Burns has proposed a more extensive rewrite of the Georgia property tax laws. Phase out homestead property from 2027 to 2032. Commercial and multifamily properties would continue to pay property taxes, but the local revenue granted by those taxes would be limited to a 3% growth per year. So your rent's going to continue to go up, all right? You're not going to be exempt. You're still paying property tax. Allow school districts, now listen close, allow school districts and local governments to repurpose existing sales tax. I wonder what that repurpose means. If you're not paying attention, you're about to get it. Like you have, if this goes through. Allow school districts and local governments to repurpose existing sales tax, often used for capital expansion or other purposes, to pay government operations. Hang on, I'm getting ready to show you. Schools and governments could also charge assessments. I'm trying to look out on the horizon. I'm just really nervous. What are those assessments you could just go charge? Assessments to pay for capital projects and some government services. So you can go sell bonds, and you could send us our portion of the bond. What exactly is that assessment you can do to go build a $40 million stadium or to build a $100 million school? What is that assessment? And some government services. This would be based not on the value of someone's home, but the cost of providing the service. Well, you're not getting a property tax bill, but we do see that you will need this service. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you a list. You check off what you want. Yes, you check off all. I mean, it's just, hey, it's nothing different than your TV. I mean, do you want to subscribe to Amazon? Do you want to subscribe to Netflix? You want to subscribe to Hulu? Whatever. That's all you're doing here. I'm like, wait a minute. You can laugh your ass off if you fall for this. Someone's home, but the cost of services. Burns' legislation does not specify which services could be paid for with assessment and how assessments would work. But, well, let me go to the next one. Now, property taxes are primary way schools and local government pay for operations in Georgia across the county. Tax bills are based on the value of property determined by local assessors. Tax rates set by elected officials. We got that. Lawmakers said they heard an outcry of constituents in recent years about rising property taxes. 2 years ago, They approved legislation that would limit the growth in property assessments of the rate of inflation, but the law allowed local schools, districts, and governments to opt out of the limit, and most did. So if 2 years ago you went and voted on a constitutional amendment, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you another constitutional amendment because we don't want you to vote. We don't want you to vote for big government. That'd be us, Republicans. That's one, right? And we want you to just vote red. Just vote red. We don't know exactly why because we gave you a constitutional amendment 2 years ago. And we're basically doing the same thing. We're going to do a workaround, but there's magic beans for schools, cities, and counties. They cut nothing. Now, Burns has laid out more sweeping approach of property tax relief because the Georgia constituents grants local schools and governments the ability to levy property tax. The Speaker's proposal would require a constitutional amendment. Right? Now, here is from the Speaker's office. Lawson added, this is from Speaker Burns' office, being on the wrong side of an 80-20 issue with this much intensity is very risky political positioning, even in the districts that may not have been competitive otherwise. Voters hearing about a no vote on property tax relief for 6 months could very well change the dynamics. All right, so they put this out, right? Let's break it down for a little bit. 2 years ago, they gave us HB 581. HB 581, known as the Save Our Homes Act, introduced significant property tax reform effective January 1st, 2025, supported by the approval constitutional amendment of H.R. 1022. So to do this, you have to have a constitutional amendment to change the tax structure and the way you collect taxes. So you voted on H.R. 1022, but that implemented HB 581. So what's happening right now is they want you to vote on HR 1114 that would implement HB 1116, right? So that's what happened 2 years ago. Key changes include statewide floating homestead exemption capping, assessment increase at the rate of inflation. All right. Opt out, tax relief. So they offered that to you 2 years ago. You already have a resolution. Now, so yesterday they run it to the floor. Big property tax fails in Georgia House. All right. The Georgia House of Representatives Tuesday rejected a sweeping property tax that would substantially change the way Georgians pay for schools and local governments. Supporters said the proposal would grant much needed relief to homeowners who are struggling to keep the rising property tax bill. All right. They said the current method for paying for schools and services is unsustainable. The current method. Oh, I can't stand when they use these words. Now, tax fight, right? Tax fight. It's rare a bill backed by Georgia's most powerful Republicans goes down in flames. Rarer still when it's a priority of the House Speaker. But that's exactly what happened Tuesday. A sweeping property tax overhaul championed by House Speaker John Burns failed to clear the 120 vote. Now, I want to stop right there. I want you to go look this up. In 2014, this is the backbone of some of my argument or what I'm trying to expose in Georgia right now. It failed to clear the 120 vote. Go look up, I think it's 2014. I think it's 2014. Republicans and the Georgia State House had 120 members. In 2014, they had veto override power of the governor. That's right. The governor's office would have to deal with them a different way because they could override a veto of the governor with 120 members. They could put something on the ballot as a constitutional amendment without ever asking a single Democrat. But guess what happened yesterday? It was 99 to 73. They needed 21 Democrats. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong here. Don't worry. Nothing. There's no problem here. Now, H.R. 1114. This is the resolution for a constitutional amendment. And you can see the resolution there. You could go look it up. You could read it. It's 7 pages. Now, I want to show you something on the front of it here. This is the front. Propose an amendment to the Constitution, right? Propose the amendment to the Constitution so as to revise procedures for financing counties, municipalities, and consolidated governments. Change the way we fund them. And school systems to provide property tax relief for homeowners. To provide for the gradual reduction in the assessed value of homestead properties for tax purposes. To provide for an additional disabled veterans homestead exemption. To remove the cap on benefits granted pursuant to homeowners incentive adjustment clause. Adjustment clause. All right. To authorize the General Assembly to provide for local grant and adjustment programs. Now, local grant and adjustment programs means this. There's different things that they will bring all the money into the pot and they will give to the neediest as they see fit. So that's what local grants, all right, and adjustment programs means. There'll be a mechanism in here that allows the state to take money in different ways, put it in a pot down there at the Capitol, and you, the county or the city or the school, apply for it, and the neediest get it as they see fit. All right, I'm not going to read the whole thing. To authorize the dedication of funds for state and local grants, to revise provisions for sales and use taxes that may be levied by local boards of education, capital outlay projects, to provide a cap on taxes that may be levied by local boards of education. All right? Now, before I get any further in here, what they're doing in this constitutional amendment is stripping the way you use SPLOST, E-SPLOST, and T-SPLOST. Right? I'll get to it in a minute. This is the amendment that would change the way they can use it. Now, I'm going to go here, go do the research. This is 116. This is what, like HB 581, you did. You put in a constitutional amendment, then you put in HB 581. So what they want you to do is they want you to vote on a constitutional amendment, HR 1114, and then implement this right here, HB 116, Home Ownership Opportunity and Market Equalization Act. This is 47 pages. You need to ask everyone that came out and championed this if they read it, and if they met with the ACCG, GMA, and the Georgia State School Board Association, if they met with their lobbyist. The bill to enact, entitled Act, amend Chapter 5, whatever. All right? Now, let me go here. And I'm not going to butcher this up. I'll get through it very quickly here, okay? To amend Title 20, 36, and 48 of the Official Code of Georgia related to education, local government, and revenue and taxation, respectfully, so as to provide for property tax reform to change certain provisions regarding assessments of tangible real property. Assessments. You better open your eyes and find out what assessments, necessary services, and charging you appropriately. Okay? Of tangible real property, to require that each sales tax return includes specific information regarding collection of such taxes, to require that the department maintain sales tax data differentiating sales made within the limits of the municipality for sales made within the unincorporated areas of the county, to provide for the publication of such data. Let's see. The distribution, intergovernmental agreements on how they split the tax, to allow county special purpose local option sales tax, SPLOS, to be imposed at a rate of less than 1%, to allow sales tax for educational purposes to be imposed at a rate of less than 1%, to eliminate the use of joint county municipal sales, the lost on data. All right, so let me end that right here because it's 47 pages. Because I'm going to show you something. I butcher that up, I understand. Go read it. Now, wait a minute. I had it here a minute ago. I know I had it. Hold on just a minute. I know I had it here. Wait a minute. Where's it at? I think I forgot to bring it over. But I'll find it right here. I'll get it for you right here. Hang tight. Don't go anywhere, please. Where's it at? Wait just a minute. I got to find it here because you have to see this before we close. All right, so now here is one of the largest things that happens here that they don't talk about. And they're going to tell you this is not true. I always love when they tell you this is not true. But when it comes to your taxes in your county, all right, they gave the I call it the drug money that will never end. They gave education an opportunity to pass the 1 penny, okay? Splosh. E-splosh. Education, special purpose, local option sales tax, okay? They gave the counties an opportunity to put a 1 penny, it's only a penny, right? In splosh, special purpose, local option sales tax, all right? Then they gave your county a T-splosh, transportation, so they can pave county roads and so forth. They're already getting all that money, the state, from your gas tax at your local gas station that you pay for every day. But they gave them that other penny. Pennies galore. Pennies from heaven, right? Now, I have actually heard, and I've seen violations, but I've actually heard commissioners say, well, you know, we can't use splosh on payroll, the electric bills, maintenance, operation. We can't do that. We can't do that. It's not allowed. You can only use splosh for capital improvements, putting an addition on something, or capital projects, new parks, new courthouses, new schools. Right? You can't use splosh for anything else. Now there's something else. You have property tax that you got to pay attention to. I'm going to throw everything out here, right? So your property tax comes in. I forget when it comes in, but you get a tax bill, and then the county gets bulk of the property tax within a certain period of time. It doesn't come in all year long. Stay with me. So property tax money does not come in all year long. It doesn't come in all year long. There's a major chunk. You have an escrow account if you have a mortgage, and every month so much of your mortgage goes into escrow, right, into your mortgage company, because they don't trust you to pay the tax. And then when your tax bill goes out, it goes to you and the mortgage company, and the mortgage company starts sending these piles of checks into your county at one time, boom, for property tax. So that's when the money comes in. Now, not all counties, but a lot of counties do what's called a TAN note, T-A-N, a TAN note. If you ever heard them talk about a TAN note. It's called a tax anticipation note. Tax anticipation note. So banks will bid every year to your county, whether you need it, you may not need it, all right? And nothing worse than your county to run out of the tax anticipation note money before the property tax money hits from the mortgages and individuals in the county. That's a bad day. I've seen it happen. But the TAN note is what gives counties, a lot of them, an opportunity to operate a tax anticipation note. So they go over to the bank and they say, look, we have all these property tax. You're always collateral. Never forget you are always the collateral, okay? In all things, you are not the voter, right? You're the collateral that they finance every year, and you have to go work to pay your bills and theirs. Simple as that. So county goes over to the bank and says, look, we anticipate through our taxes and our assessment, we can show you we anticipate $30 million, so we want a $30 million TAN note. And that gives them the money throughout the year to pay payroll if needed. They pay payroll, they pay maintenance, operations, different things like that throughout the year because they can't use the splosh money, right? You got it? Now, splosh they absolutely love because that's where they have their best friends called the bond salesman. Get that big briefcase that said, I sell bonds. And you just passed a splosh for $100 million we probably should go ahead and sell the bond right now for $100 million. Yes, this is what happens. This is so deep. And they want to change all of it. And all the levers will change. Okay? So they got the bond salesman. They love a good splost. I mean, you got a splost on the ballot? Bond salesman, ready. We'll sell it the day after, Jack. We'll put all the money over here. You can start paying interest, start paying it back before you ever do anything, and I will get my percent. So that is the splost. Because the splost can't be used. The splost can't be used for anything other than capital improvements. Now watch. So, under Georgia law, pay attention to this, under Georgia law and the Georgia Constitution, both splost and e-splost are strictly limited to capital outlay projects and cannot be used for daily operating expenses or salaries. That is in the Georgia State Constitution. Key restrictions. No operating expenses. Funds cannot be used for day-to-day operations, such as utility bills or general maintenance. No salaries. Paying staff or teachers' salaries with these tax proceeds is explicitly prohibited by law. Okay? Capital projects only. Debt retirement. Now, debt retirement, if you have a splost and you took out a bond and you have debt, the splost money can go to the debt. That's it. Debt retirement, one of the few non-construction uses allowed in the retirement of a previous incurred general obligation debt or past capital projects. SPLOST, Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, proposed by the county government. E-SPLOST, available to Board of Educations. So what they want to do, and you got to keep this in mind, is they want to blow this up. If they pass this, they will restructure the complete revenue flow into schools. Yes, they'll restructure the complete revenue flow into schools, into counties, okay, into municipalities. They will restructure how they can use the money and how these people can increase the revenue stream they're getting. Absolutely. If you think for 1 minute that the ACCG, the GMA, or the Georgia State School Board Association thought for 1 minute that a constitutional amendment of 1114 and HB 1116 was not going to change the revenue stream and increase it and give them new leverage over you and I, the taxpayers, under the guise of getting rid of property tax. I just hope you pay attention. So, as I've said multiple times, vote red. Property tax. Political scams left and right. So let me run through this. I have to close. I have to be out today. I have some meetings and I want to get this out later on today. So vote red. Why? Let me go through this one. Here is Batman and Robin. That would be Burt Jones and his boy wonder, Greg Dolezal. So I have a question for you. I'm asking questions. Would you please go and get some answers? Now, it was determined, because I'm listening to everything, all right? And I can't take, I can't take political stunts. I cannot take this garbage at all. I don't carry politicians' water. They're getting on my nerves so damn bad. But let me ask a question. Look me in the eye and tell me. Do you recall SB 189? Now, slow your roll, player. Slow your roll. QR codes, right? Now, we determined, Greg Dolezal knows this, especially in the Senate, there was a determination, right? There was a determination made that in the real world, not bizarro world, Dominion violated their contract. Right? Stay with me. How long ago was it determined that Dominion, now Liberty Voting or whoever they are, violated their contract? Right? In said violation, if you violate the contract, how come we didn't have all these ballsy, little pint-sized weasels standing up in the well of the Senate saying, I don't think we should make another bond payment to Dominion? They have violated their contract. Now, I've heard Blake Tillery say, on the Senate Appropriations Chair, say, not quote, I've got the video, say, I don't know if we want to go and put another voting system in place while we're still voting on this one. Because my understanding is we don't stop paying the bond, right, that we took out. Because we can't. We can't stop paying the bond. We have nobody to sue, I guess. But we can't stop paying the bond because we owe it till 2029. The outrage over these machines, why Burt Jones and Greg Dolezal didn't say 2 years ago. I mean, you got to understand, 2020 election, it's 2026. And I don't know why these people didn't go and defund Dominion. I don't know why they didn't go and say they violated their contract alone. We've had every single right, reason, and ability and possibility to change this. SB 189, keep this in mind with the QR codes. I'm tired of hearing about it, okay? SB 189 said the QR codes have to be gone from our ballot by July 1st of this year. We keep hearing Brad Raffensperger, the boogeyman, didn't fund it or ask for funding. Burt Jones and Greg Dolezal could have stood up and said, Burt Jones could have called. They're going to say, oh, he's wrong. He don't know procedure. He don't know how it works, okay? He could have picked up the phone and said, Blake Tillery, put a line in there. If we're going to put $400 million in a 12% plus increase, yes, that's what Brian Kemp signed yesterday, right? A 12% increase in an amended budget for this year, right? He could have said, Blake, if we could put $40 million to help homeless, okay, if we could put all these millions, enormous amount of money for scholarships for our children, okay, if we could put $400 million in for a mental health hospital, okay, put a line item in there for $60 million to upgrade and put the proper scanners in place to read the ballots without a QR code for SB 189. Fund SB 189. And tell the governor, if you want a hospital, you want money for homeless, you want money for scholarships, you're going to put money in there for SB 189. Stop listening to this garbage nonsense. So let me run through here because I got to close. That's the boy wonder. This guy is throwing. I mean, we'll get into this tomorrow because there's his friend Ron Pitts, Burt Jones. The campaign is taking on water, and I'll tell you why the campaign to me is taking on water. And I don't know if they can bail the water out of this ship fast enough, because another team Jackson post yesterday really went after him, accusing him of lying about the data centers on the family property. And we're watching right now, we brought it up yesterday, SB 34, which would prohibit Georgia Power from passing the increased cost on to residents, right? But his little boy wonder, Greg Dolezal, his little boy wonder is they're in panic mode, all right? So he comes out with this video. I'm not going to play it right now. He comes out with this video about Sharia law. And State Senator Greg Dolezal, Republican candidate for lieutenant governor, and this is desperation at the highest level. Now, I'm not a Muslim. I do not read the Quran. I do not live by the Quran. I live by the Holy Bible, the Word of God, the Bible. That's a book for me. Won't go down a religious road right now, okay? I do not think any religious text, right? I think our Constitution says that there shouldn't be any religious text supersede our laws. I don't want to get convoluted and mess it up because you know me, I can get all over the map. But the point I'm making is a video telling this lady she can't drive. Now, do we need to pay attention? But I'm beginning to be ultimately amazed of what they claim to be learning. London has fallen, Europe is under siege, and America, the invaders who would rather pillage our generosity than assimilate, are roaming Minnesota, New York, and LA. As Lieutenant Governor, I will fight the enemy before they're within the gates and keep Georgia safe and Sharia free. This is desperation at the highest level. We'll go into. I'm going to tell you something. There's one Constitution provided for the citizens. There's not Constitution A and Constitution B. If you are a citizen of the United States of America, the Constitution protects you equally. And I'm not advocating for anything. I'm just saying it's a hell of a time to start watching. So, number 10 here. I always wonder, what was Vicky Consiglio? What was she saying to Bert? What was she saying? Now, Texas. I told you this. Jasmine Crockett, right? The ghetto darling is gone. Period. Republicans wanted to run against Jasmine Crockett, the ghetto darling. They wanted it so bad, she's gone. I told you this. Tallarico, James Tallarico, is the Democrat running for Senate. There he is, 53%. Now, Cornyn and Paxton are going to have a almost 3-month battle in a runoff. So, Cornyn came in front of Paxton. Cornyn is still in the fight. Will Trump finally endorse him? I don't care who wins the Republican primary in Texas with this new 3-month battle, Paxton and Cornyn. We'll talk about it later. I don't know that Tallarico doesn't win the Senate race. Number 15, I got my money on Roy Cooper. I knew he would take that Democrat. I tell you, BKP, no, I got my money on Roy Cooper. I mean, Michael Whatley, I personally don't care for him at all as RNC chair. I'm not impressed by him. Roy Cooper was the governor. He has won elections before in that state, and I'm just going to say I got my money on Roy Cooper right now. Derek Dooley has qualified, right? And here's some qualifying right here for the 9th District. Andrew Clyde, Poole, and Carvian, however you say his name, the mayor of Gainesville. Now, in the 14th District, let me show you this before I get out because I got to go. The race to replace Green, Trump's endorsement faces crowded test. Folks, let me just say this in the 14th District. If candidates are not down there qualifying this week to run in the May primary in the 14th District, remember, the special election is to do none other than fill the term. You still have to go qualify for May. So right now on the Republican side, Sean Harris is qualified on the Democrat side for May. But we have 5. Tully, Moore, Stover, Lama, and Gray have qualified. Now, it goes till Friday, but I will tell you this. If a candidate has not qualified, all right, is not qualified by Friday and they're in the special election, they're not serious. They're not serious candidates. Okay. Got to get out. So this one right here. Not so fast. Houston, we have a problem. This guy right here, Ryan Millsap, Republican Ryan Millsap, is entering the race for the 10th District to go up against Houston Gaines, and he's going to spend $4 million of his own money, he said, right? And I'll close with this right here. I am not, once again, attacking any candidate on this list, but I can't wait for you to show up at the GRA State Endorsement Convention and get to say, so you can go around the state to say, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm running for office, and I'm GRA endorsed. So when they Google the GRA, well, just saying, right? Let's see, just saying. Let's see, GRA endorsed, and what do I have here? This ought to upset the Bert's babes for the day. Obviously, this is Keisha Lance Bottoms internal, but she wants to let you know that she is 41-39 over Bert Jones. 30. That's what Keisha, breaking news. Keisha Lance Bottoms is leading in Georgia, 41-39 over Bert Jones. Public policy polling is what she credits there. Just saying. All right, I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. We're going to have a special Saturday. I'm going to do a special on qualifying because Friday it'll be done. I'll start working on it Friday night. So if you have anything around the state that as far as qualifying, let me get to something here. Let's get that off there. If you have anything around the state, I don't care what it is, on qualifying that you think it's actually newsworthy and you want us to start looking at and go over, let us know. Send that to me, BKP at BKPpolitics.com or 706-889-9700. Please share our Substack with your friends, or our YouTube page, our Rumble page, or our Facebook page. I'm out. I'll be back tomorrow. Property tax and sales tax. So, just like I said, the magic beans, really?
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.